Hey everybody, Professor Snart here. I am your instructor for English 1102 online in the second 8-week semester. So if you're like me and you've been doing full 16-week or even first 8-week classes all along, it feels a little weird, honestly, to start, I guess, a whole new term here. But here we are. So in many ways, all of my other classes are kind of already rolling along, and here we are, just getting to know each other. So one of the things that I really like to do, and I'm just clicking myself into our course here, is include these video announcements on a pretty regular basis. That's not like every Monday there'll be a new one, but when it seems feasible to do so or relevant to do so, I like to sort of do these video check-ins. They're clearly informal and unscripted and whatever. But it's a nice way of you knowing that I'm here, I'm invested in the course and in your participation and engagement and all that stuff. And I hope one of my aims in terms of having people take an online class is that they don't feel isolated or alienated or just sort of like disconnected from what's going on. So not only are you hopefully connected to me, but you're also connected to the course content and, in fact, to other people in the course. So it really does feel like a class, even though we never meet, physically together, like you would in a traditional face-to-face class. So I like that sort of human element because, honestly, I think it helps people feel like responsible for the work and invested and engaged and just like you're doing an actual course, not some like weird sort of correspondence thing where you read some stuff on your own and then you email me something and I email you back a grade, and that is so last century. In fact, it's almost 2 centuries ago. But anyway, so one of the first things that you'll see in our course, in addition to you'll land on the announcements page here, is over to the left there'll be a little orientation section. It's I think really important, especially as we get started here and in the limited 8-week format, so we move quite quickly through our material, is that you really want to get sort of comfortable in the course, in the learning environment here, right out of the gate. So you don't want to be stumbling right at the start because A, it's frustrating, and B, the more days you spend just sort of fumbling around, that's sort of magnified in the 8-week format because, a week in our class is like 2 weeks in a 16-week course. A day for us is like 2 days, whatever. So one of the first things I want you to do before you ever look at the actual content for our 1102 class is just to have a sense of like how the course works. And I've tried to make it as transparent as possible so you don't have a lot of stuff to figure out. Basically, all of our work is in the units area. You'll see they're kind of labeled thematically with what material we're going to be covering. All the work is contained in there, and then you'll notice that there's a due dates link right below the units link that explains when all the stuff from that particular unit is due. Hopefully it makes sense and is pretty clear. I've also built a course calendar that you can see sort of in that, that visual format, the calendar format. When things are due, it doesn't really tell you a lot of information, but at least you can see the due dates or the calendar dates, for when units are due. So it's really important before you jump into anything else to watch the orientation video, read through some of the stuff about, being a successful online learner, how the course works, basic technical requirements so you can be successful, and then take the orientation quiz that's down at the bottom of that page. It's always surprising to me how many people don't even do that quiz. So the very thing that is supposed to be getting you oriented to the course you haven't found and done. So I get really nervous when when students start skipping that part of it. So the other thing that is sort of connected with that is that it's really important that in this orientation piece or in any unit that you're actually taking time to watch the video, read the content, and all that stuff. You're not just sort of looking for, okay, where's the assignment, and then jumping into that, and then you start doing it and realize you have questions or you don't really know what you're doing, so you work backwards to try to read through the content to figure out, okay, what do I need to know to do the assignment? So you get it all sort of twisted around. And in an effort to be quicker about doing things, two things happen. Either you do it really poorly and wrong and get a bad grade, or you end up spending way more time than you normally would have because you're trying to sort of like work backwards. So it's not successful, it takes too much time, you get frustrated. So it's really important, especially once we get into the units for the course, that you're not just sort of scrolling through as fast as you can to see, okay, what's the assignment I have to do. Each unit will begin with a statement of objectives for that unit, so you'll have a sense of like, what are we trying to accomplish here? So when you start reading the content, it's not like, why am I reading this? Hopefully you can see how it is contributing to those objectives we'd like to accomplish for that particular unit. So again, my approach is to make the course feel sort of friendly and engaging, and like you're actually with a class of people here that you're communicating with and interacting with. But also really like that you don't have to spend a lot of time figuring out, okay, where do I go for this? How do I navigate this? All of those kind of technical parts. Because it's either one of the things could be really frustrating if you feel like you're just sort of out there on your own, disconnected from me, from everybody, or the course is really confusing and you spend half your time just hunting for stuff and when's something due and all of that kind of thing. So I'm trying to engage you in this sort of human way, but also make it much less about the technology and try to navigate stuff so we can actually get into the content for our English 1102 course. So we do move pretty quickly, so be aware of that right off the bat. Make sure you spend time in that orientation. Take a look at the units in terms of just looking at the list of them. You don't necessarily have to be clicking into all of them, but at least get a sense of like how many there are. You can kind of guess at what we're doing by the way that they're labeled. And then it's really important to make that due dates link your best friend, because you're really going to be going in there often. And clearly you want to be aware of the immediate due date, so when like Unit 1 is due, for example. But you also want to sort of look ahead. Notice that, for example, Unit 2 is due very close after Unit 1. And since our course is open here, you can always kind of pop into the next unit just to see what's going on. I really don't recommend working ahead, because so much of what we do is posting to a discussion board but then replying to other people. And I've actually seen it before where somebody goes in, posts just fine, the post is great, but they've done it so early that they then forget to do the reply part, so they get basically like half the points, even though their post is great, but they've only fulfilled sort of half the requirements for the thing. So the due dates really are meant for you to keep on track and sort of move you through the course. And even though the whole thing is open right now, you can see it all. I really don't recommend trying to jump ahead and doing a bunch of work in advance. And that usually means that people have been sort of skimming the content stuff and trying to get to the assignment stuff, and again, maybe not doing it quite as well as it should be done, or fulfilling the requirements and all that kind of stuff. All right, so as we get going here, it's really important that you feel comfortable and confident in what we're doing. So if you have questions about the course, about navigating things or how it's all set up, by all means be in touch with me. You can find my contact information in the Professor Snart link. I'm on Skype, which is a great way to stay in touch with me, and my email's there. And I will also, in the text of this announcement, or in addition to this video announcement, I'll provide my email and contact as well. All right, so if you have any questions, be sure to be in touch with me, and otherwise I will meet everybody virtually in our course.